From some insanely strong Force abilities, lightsaber skills, and their moral and philosophical viewpoints, these are the 5 beings that came the closest to being a perfect Jedi and maybe even the greatest of all time. I should warn you though that the Jedi I discuss in this video do not include Luke Skywalker, Grandmaster Yoda, or Anakin Skywalker, because all 3 of them get discussed enough as it is and we don't need any more videos about them. Many consider Luke to be the greatest, which is insanely valid, but I just want to give the others a moment to shine. Also, last time I checked, the criteria for becoming an all-time great Jedi was not mowing down defenseless children, regardless of how strong you are. So surprise, surprise, that rules Anakin out of the conversation. Anyway though, enough yapping. Let's just dive straight into it, starting with position number 5, which I have given to none other than the GOAT, Plo Koon. Okay, so if you are like me and have an ADHD hyperfixation brain that compels you to absorb as much Star Wars lore knowledge as you possibly can, then you probably already know this. But if you are a more casual enjoyer of Star Wars, then you likely won't know that during the prequels era and during the Clone Wars, Jedi Master Plo Koon was one of the most powerful and respected Jedi alive. Not only was he a member of the Jedi Council, but he had become so proficient with the light side of the Force that some considered him on a similar tier to Grandmaster Yoda. There are even some sources which suggest Plo Koon was the only Jedi to ever outright beat Master Yoda in a training duel. And fun fact, Master Plo actually likes and subscribes to really cool Star Wars YouTube videos like this one, and you should probably do the same. Anyway, yeah, his species, the Keldor, are deeply rooted into the light side and excel in many rare Force abilities, such as Future Sight, which is something which Master Plo is able to use himself. It's basically just observation haki if it actually worked. Now, as an actual combatant, Plo is exceptionally strong, being one of the best telekinetic Force ability users to ever live and in contention with Master Yoda yet again. Many people fail to realize that the reason the Force isn't visibly utilized as a weapon during a battle is because it takes great focus and build up in order to pull it off. But Plo can effortlessly move massive objects with just the wave of a single hand, and he can even do this mid-fight, making him an extremely dangerous opponent. Master Plo is also the creator of the ability known as Electric Judgment, which is a light side version of Sith Lightning that remains non-lethal and completely uncorrupting thanks to Master Plo solidifying himself in the light side of the Force. Now, Master Plo's primary strength and the trait that makes him close to perfect is his compassion for all living things, including the clones, which so many Jedi and other characters disregard as living beings. His Wolfpack unit had the lowest fatality rate in the entire Clone Wars army, and he is loved by the fandom for never thinking of the clones as just disposable. He stays calm and balanced regardless of how desperate of a situation he finds himself in, and it's this inner balance paired with his insanely potent abilities that put him in contention for one of the greatest Jedi Masters to ever live. But let's be real, he died like a bum because he was still just an unwritten NPC when Revenge of the Sith was made, so he can't really be placed any higher than this, I'm afraid. Okay, next I wanted to talk about Ahsoka Tano, which I know will be a controversial one because yeah, technically when she was at her peak, she wasn't actually a Jedi and never even became a fully fledged Jedi Knight. But to hell with the technicalities, because I think it's the fact she rejected the Jedi Order and trusted her own judgment that made her such a great Jedi Knight. Not only is she a war veteran who was trained by Anakin Skywalker himself, which should already just show how skilled she is now, but she is also one of the few characters that followed her own path instead of taking the Jedis. Ahsoka was able to cherry pick the best parts of the Jedi Order and her master, Anakin Skywalker, which means she is well versed in the Jedi's strategies and capabilities as well as their mindset. After all, being only technically Padawan level status, Ahsoka was able to take Darth Maul down on Mandalore and incarcerate him before using the Force to pull back his starfighter when he escaped during Order 66. She was also just in a different league by the time Order 66 came to pass, as she not only survived it, but one-shot the Inquisitor that was sent after her, taking his lightsabers as her own and then purifying the kyber crystals inside to make them white. This white lightsaber-wielding Ahsoka would go on to fight many more Inquisitors and even manage to break Darth Vader's mask in a duel the same way Obi-Wan did in their penultimate battle. Being an integral part of both the Clone Wars and the Rebellion, as well as being the Padawan of Anakin Skywalker, I have to admit that Ahsoka defied all expectations and became one of the most accomplished and independent Jedi of all time. But she's not a Jedi, so it doesn't count. Now, despite being nothing special in terms of his combat abilities, Qui-Gon Jinn obviously has to make the list because this dude scared Palpatine himself. Qui-Gon was a Jedi that considered the Jedi Code to be more of a guidebook than a rulebook, and would often find himself in trouble with the Jedi Council for acting more similar to a rogue Jedi than anything else. And yet he was respected by the Council and even offered a seat on it so that they could, keep a better eye on him. But Qui-Gon refused, preferring to follow the Force first and the Jedi Council second. His mind was clearer than any other Jedi was, and his understanding of the Force was way ahead of its time. This is ultimately why both Plagueis and Palpatine feared him so much. Not for his strength, which couldn't compete with their own, but because he was the only one who would discover Palpatine's plot and thwart it for good. You see, what made Qui-Gon so strong with the Force was the fact that he fully dedicated himself to following the Force's will instead of the Jedi Order. He was a servant of the Force, and nothing more, being willing to do anything and go anywhere without hesitation if that is what the Force willed. If the Force willed him to kill his Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi, then he most likely would have done it without hesitation. Now, in the end, Qui-Gon was so powerful that he was able to manifest his consciousness after death and guide the living, which led him to become Grandmaster Yoda's master, and that is definitely saying something. Qui-Gon is another one who gets spoken about enough though, so I'll move on to who I believe is the second greatest Jedi of all time, Kanan Jarrus. You see, Kanan Jarrus is a special case. He was just a child and a Jedi Padawan when Order 66 occurred, and from then all the way until Star Wars Rebels, his main goal was just to survive. Being part of a rebellion was not his desire during Season 1 of Rebels, and he continued to have doubts about their contributions all the way into Season 2. He was a man riddled with insecurities, doubts, fear, and love, all of which are things that are cast aside and forbidden by members of the Jedi Order. And yet it was his journey with the rest of his crew and his Padawan Ezra that allowed him to not only conquer his fears and insecurities, but also embrace the love and affection he felt for those around him. In the end, Kanan Jarrus demonstrated clearer than any other Jedi that embracing love and attachment can make you much stronger, and that cowering from it will only hold you back, cloud your judgment, and send you down the wrong path. After he and Hera confess their love, he holds back a massive explosion using the Force in such a powerful way for someone who is supposedly just another average Jedi. His eyesight also returned in his final moments, which is one of the best moments in all of Star Wars, let's be real. It's this death scene after embracing his love for Hera that not only allowed his proficiency with the Force to reach a different level entirely, but also made everything clear to him, which is represented via his eyesight returning. It's a very similar and yet completely different mechanic to how Obi-Wan was able to defeat Anakin on Mustafar, which we're going to discuss now because, surprise surprise, Obi-Wan Kenobi is who I believe is the single greatest Jedi in Star Wars history. I'm actually going to have to give Obi-Wan his own separate video deep diving his entire character at some point because it would take too long to try and cover it all here, but I'll do my best. Obi-Wan Kenobi, first of all, is the master of lightsaber form 3 Soresu, which is the Jedi's defensive lightsaber form. It is his lightsaber ability that allowed him to become the only Jedi capable of consistently beating Grievous in the Clone Wars and surviving battles that other Jedi honestly wouldn't stand a chance in. He remains a negotiator first and foremost, preferring to settle matters without violence when possible, but never hesitates to do what needs to be done.
Come on then. Who will strike first and brand themselves a cold-blooded killer?
Okay, well, almost never hesitates, but that's why I like him. He isn't perfect. He knows he isn't perfect, and he accepts that he isn't perfect, which is kind of why I think he's perfect. Make sense? To me, the Jedi Order's biggest weakness was how they forbid attachment. Forbid should suggest it's not allowed, because as long as you have it there, there's always a risk that attachment could cloud your judgment or lead you down the wrong path. In Kanan's case, he was a great Jedi because he embraced what the Jedi forbade and became stronger because of it. Realistically though, love and attachments can and will cloud a Jedi's judgment and lead them down the wrong path. They are not wrong for thinking that. Kanan was great because in the end he overcame those risks, which made him stronger and wiser, but not everybody can achieve that. What Obi-Wan Kenobi did though was what no other Jedi had ever accomplished before. Kenobi did have attachments, he did feel love, and he accepted that about himself during the Clone Wars, but he never let those feelings corrupt him, blind him, or lead him down the wrong path. He felt absolutely everything that a standard Jedi would normally cast aside, and yet he never let it influence him. That's how he was able to defeat Anakin on Mustafar Mustafar and earn the respect of Emperor Palpatine. Obi-Wan embodied the light side of the Force and went to Mustafar with the one singular focus of killing Darth Vader. He loved Anakin like a brother, and it pained him to see the entire Jedi Order crumble before him because of the man that he raised. He felt pain like no other because he allowed those feelings to exist within himself, feelings that the Jedi Order and Yoda believe can corrupt you, and yet he still did what he needed to do without any hesitation or any influence from his inner feelings. Obi-Wan Kenobi embodied the light side of the Force and never deviated from that path. He felt everything a Jedi is not meant to feel, and yet he was the only one capable of remaining a truly good man, because at the end of the day, that is who Obi-Wan Kenobi is. He was not special, he was not born strong, he was not perfect. But the reason I consider him the greatest Jedi of all time is because first and foremost, Obi-Wan Kenobi is a good man.